Hey everybody, it's Maggie Mulhern from Modern Salon TV. I am here with Mark Garrison, and we just finished judging the Goldwell Color Zoom 2018 entries, and it was a pretty exciting event. But this is your first time judging, right?
Yeah, definitely my first time judging, and I'll tell you, what talent, what talent.
Yeah, this was one of the hardest I've judged for many years, and I would have to say this was the most difficult. And I'm just very interested, through your eyes, what other people entering contests in the future, what they can learn from you. So, for example, what tips would you have right out of the box?
Well, right out of the box, I can tell you what I'm looking at when it comes to a photo, whether it's color and style and fashion, it's the overall feeling. I knew within a few seconds after seeing everything here, and I tell you, from the new talent to the seasoned professional, it was hard, and I am so impressed with the new talent. But I get the feeling, I got a vibe right off the bat, like which one spoke to me, what spoke to me as a total concept, a total picture. That's what I was looking for, and that's what jumped out at me.
Yeah, and I know you have the technical expertise, so you're looking for placement and color choice, etc. And for me, I'm looking for what would make a great magazine cover. So again, what you said, from head to toe, or at least, a good shot that would appear there. Mm-hmm. How important was it for you, the elements like fashion, makeup, and finished style?
It all played into it. It really all played into it, because you had the gamut. You had looks that had clear classic base, and then you had stuff that was like way avant-garde, which I took all of that into consideration. And avant-garde has its place. I love it. Classic has its place. It's how well any of it's done and the total look is brought together, and how that photographer captures that image. I mean, that's so important too.
Yeah, and we know we were charged with in the preview to make sure that this is something that you can recreate. And for example, a lot of them had a fan, and we know they're not going to be able to walk in front of the judges during the live competition with a fan going like this or with, out in the wind. So that's something I took into consideration. There was one of mine was my absolute favorite picture, but it was so windblown that I knew it could not be recreated. Did that resonate with you?
Totally. It's interesting you say that, because I was thinking, okay, how can I, with the right styling tools, recreate that wisp, that little gust of whatever they use to get that hair to flick or fly? How is that going to be reproduced on stage and in the time limit they would have to recreate this stuff? I mean, yeah, those little factors totally play into it. I was thinking of that, because that was one of our criteria. How can this be recreated in a certain amount of time?
Yeah, and I've had, the images were so beautiful, but you have to make sure also the photography it's not really about the photograph, it's about what's in the photograph. And in some of the images, there was a lot of photographer accent that I knew when they're being judged live, they're not going to have little diminished areas or softly blown areas, that we were really looking as judges for something that could win internationally. I know we're not allowed to ask your favorites, but were there any favorite elements that you could share?
Oh yeah, there was definitely my favorite elements are always when the shape and balance of the style is suitable to the model. Suitability. I mean, that's something I learned from way back in the day, even with Yosh back in the 70s, late 70s. Yeah, I've been around that long. Is suitability. It's all about suitability, styles that work with the model, with the face shape, and what they've done with that texture. And of course, that color is what accents these cuts, because cut and color, this is the perfect platform where all of these elements come together. Cut, color, fashion, makeup.
Yeah. Another one of my favorites was, the hair was so great, the model was so great, everything was great, and she was in a tube top. And I know, having attended the International and judged the International, that a tube top isn't going to make it. Follow the directions. If you're told that it's supposed to be layered, really look at what they have done, what the creators have done from the year before, and know that it's layered fashion. I mean, I sadly had to take a couple points off for the tube top one, and that was one of my favorite looks too.
I tell you what was important too. Now, these are basically headshots. Now, in what we're seeing, so I mean, it's cropped. You don't see much of the fashion. So what's really important is how that little bit of fashion that was shown in these shots was maximized or not.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
Oh, that's well said. All right, any other tips before we close out? I told you I'd only take you for a couple of minutes. Anything else that future participants should know?
well, all I know is really study the criteria. Like we got a glimpse of like the palettes that they had to work with, the inspirations. They had to work with their inspirations and all the different these elements that had to be achieved. So that is so important to really follow these guidelines. The guidelines is what it's all about, because they've worked very hard to come up with what is the look, that they want. And so the interpretation of that and managing to somehow bring in your individualism, your personal creativity, because that's what it's all about. We learn all these great techniques, we learn these great cuts, we get great foundations, but the true artistry coming through using those as a foundation and an inspiration, that's what I was so inspired with. And it was such an honor to be part of Goldwell, to be asked to be here, and also with Maggie, who we go way back,
way back.
So to be with such company, this was truly an honor, and I'm inspired. 42 years as a hairdresser, I'm inspired, continue to be inspired, and Goldwell helps me do that.
Well, it was an honor judging with you. This was tough, you guys. You guys are really good out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing who actually won.
Me too.
Okay, well, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.